podcast. This is the RockerPod Recap show. Oh boy, second day of competition at the European Championships 2020. We learned a lot today. We did. I don't know if it was a lot of, I don't know, it was a lot of a lot. I also learned from US Nationals that it is important to bring a therapy dog after these events. And I've got mine right here, basically trying to have him not bark. Say hi to Franklin. Say something, Franklin. You want to say something? No, now he's not feeling very social. But here's Franklin. All right. Well, lots happened today. We just finished the Paris free skate, and well, I think I think there's a lot to be said about how potentially unpredictable that the Olympic pairs event is going to be. It is going to be, make no mistake, it is going to be incredibly deep. But based on what we saw today at Europeans, a little bit based on what we saw at Grand Prix final, a little bit based on what we saw at US Nationals and Canadian Nationals, there could be a lot that could happen in Milan that could be getting kind of topsy turvy. I mean, the top three here did not put down their best performances in their free skate, and everybody had mistakes. Everybody was a little nervy, and I, it's hard to really tell what's going to happen because the pressure is going to be even higher at the Olympics. I think what will be interesting is that I'm looking at the top pairs. All of the top pairs, with the exception of Pavlova Sviatchenko, will have had the team event under their belts. And so there's potentially something there that they kind of get something out of the way, they get a feel for the Olympic ice, and then they go and compete, and maybe that becomes a little bit different. There's the wild card of Conti and Machi not being here at Europeans. They were going to be one of the favorites here. And Sarah Conti being injured. We don't know the extent of the injury. We don't know what's going to happen with that. Mira Kihara being injured at Japan Nationals with her shoulder dislocation. There's a lot of potential things going on there. But Metelkina, Barulova win their first European title, 2:15.76. Hasivolodin with two huge errors, including a fall on their final lift. It was a very scary lift right from the start. They both looked gassed. He barely got her up into position, and the Adagio 1 foot position was a little bit off and scary, and then they came down and just there was nothing left in the tank, and she fell on the exit. 2:03.87. She was surprised and confused that they were ahead of Pavlova Sviatchenko, and Pavlova Sviatchenko didn't skate super well either. It was fine. It was consistent. There were a couple mistakes, and there was a lot of levels issues that prevented them from getting the silver. So a lot happened. Hockey Kunko get fourth. Williams and Bovart, incredibly great improvements over the past season. They are fifth in Europe here, and that was really well done from them. So that was the pairs. I mean, Metelkina Barulova had some nerves in there. Both side-by-sides were a little bit off, a lot off. Metelkina on her first side-by-sides, and then a fall on the triple toe. But I think it's a good sign for them that they ended up keeping it together and doing what they ended up doing, and they get the gold. And that's what we're gonna get to see before we go to the Olympics. And really, with four continents next week, we're not going to see the top pairs at four continents, I don't believe. And so the, th this is really our last chance to see, uh, you know, what the dynamics could possibly be, going into the Olympics for the pairs. Let's talk about the men. Ay. There was some great skating, and there was some not great skating, and I'm gonna start with the conundrum of Kevin Amos and Europeans. This is the 3rd time that Kevin Amos has not qualified for the free skate at Europeans. He ended up 27th here. Um, really was fine in the first jumping pass, quad toe. It was under rotated. He held onto it, and he could have just skated fine. And then it was just mistake after mistake after mistake. The Lutz was a fall, the axle was a fault, and the step sequence was a fall, and then everything under the sun. There were levels missed. It was a meltdown. Not even for the ages, because he's had these meltdowns before, and a lot of them happen at Europeans. And he goes into the Olympics with this memory in his head. Um, and I wonder what's gonna happen. I mean, what was so interesting about his season this year, one was that he's been injured most of the season, and so he's been kind of reshuffling his, technical content around every single competition. But also, you look at his track record, and it was gold, gold, 10th, gold, 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 27th. I you can't really get more roller coastery than that, and so that was the huge surprise today, was Kevin Amos not making the free skate, and, it's tough. There's something with him just mentally thinking about what happened in the past with Europeans, and doesn't matter how good your practices are, if you can't get your mindset together, those are the things that happens, and it's happened to him more than anybody else. Um, the top 3 skated very well. Top 4 skated very well. Nika got a 91.28. He wins the European short program, and he puts himself in very good position to get his first European medal. And then it was the battle of the Selevko brothers. Who would have thought that both of them would be in the top 3 after the short program? Sasha Selevko with an 88.71, Michał Selevko with an 88.28. Half a point between the two of them. They both skated incredibly well. I think Michał was a little bit cleaner in terms of the jumps. Alexander was stronger in an overall program sense, but basically a tie. And this is a skate off in a lot of ways between the two brothers for the Olympic spot. Now, the Estonian Federation has said that their Olympic criteria looks at the entire fall season plus Europeans, not Estonian nationals. And we've always known that was going to be the case. We always knew that it would come down to Europeans in some way. The question is, how much does Europeans count in terms of the weighing of the whole thing? Because what happened was all of their criteria meant that they had a basically like a direct addition of 2 competitions in order to qualify for Europeans for Estonia, and so that's what happened with that. And now they're at Europeans, and the 2 of them are the 2 left in the criteria, and so they will, we don't know whether it is literally that whoever finishes on top between the 2 of them goes to the Olympics, or Sasha Selevko has had a stronger fall season than Michał Selevko has, and so if Michał beats him by a point, 2 points, whatever it is, does that automatically get Michał into the Olympics, or are they going to look at the entire season and say, "Okay, well, they're basically tied here, and we're gonna send Alexander. So I don't know. Um, Sasha Slevko has had a stronger run at the free skate this season, and we'll see what happens. It's gonna be a nail biter with the two of them. Speaking of Olympic spots, the second spot for the Italian men is going to be decided here, and it is going to be a skate off because Matteo Rizzo and Nicolai Memola basically came into this event tied. And if you looked at all the rules, the Olympic spot should have already been determined in some way, or at least I don't know. I don't know how you interpret the Italian rules, but Matteo Rizzo, after Italian nationals, was ahead of Nicolai Memola in their calculation of points. They decided that they were going to come to Europeans and do a skate off, and so that's what's happening right now. And Matteo Rizzo is in fourth place, clean short program with an 88, and that puts him 10 points over Nicolai Memola, who I think in a lot of ways is happy to be here skating and competing for the spot because he has had such bad luck with an injury in December, a car break-in where he got his skates stolen. I don't even know if he ever got his skates back, and he ended up to get new skates and bring them in. And there was a lot of chatter behind the scenes that because of the injury, he may not have even been ready to compete at Europeans. And it was great to see him here. No quad in the free skate. I think he was trying the quad flip, but it was also in a very different pattern than he usually does it, and he ended up doing a triple flip. Um, and so that was your short program for the Italian second spot. Matteo Rizzo has a 10-point lead over Nicolai Memola, and Franklin is now snoring in my lap. So this is very good therapy dog behavior. Daniel Grassel with a 3 calls on his 2 jumping passes is fifth, 84-82. Lucas Brichke stepped out of his quad toe, 82-12. So that is what happened, and I am frozen on. There we go. Uh, that is what happened with the men. There's a there's a lot more to talk about, and we'll talk about it more when we recap. But uh, your top 3, Nika Egadze, Sasha Salevko, and Mihail Salevko, going into the free skate, and then tomorrow we will have the rhythm dance to start, and the women will hopefully do a little bit better tomorrow than they did today. Um, I'm just gonna go and find one thing real fast. Say hi to Franklin. Hi, Franklin. There he goes. This is important. Let's hope this doesn't happen anytime soon because, um, we know what the Menning does. All right. That's all for day 2 at Europeans. And I'll talk to you again tomorrow. Bye.